Hi folks, I'm back with a video about BeamNG.drive. Now this is actually a realistic immersible driving game offering near limitless possibilities. Its speciality really is around soft body physics engine, which simulates every component of a vehicle in real time, resulting in realistic dynamic behavior. So this differs to a large extent from specialized games, which are, say, like Assetto Corsa, which is specifically a racing sim, and it does that very well. City driving sim, which teaches you how to drive. Euro Truck, which is a truck simulator, and maybe something like Mud Runner or Snow Runner, which specializes in off-road driving sims specifically. You know, they're much more limited. This is a very much more general purpose type game. So very interesting and appealing, I think, to a broader audience maybe. Obviously better again with a steering wheel, but I think for kids as well this could be quite a fun game. It's got a couple of fun components I'll show as well. So the game itself is a Windows only game, but just to show you actually that it is actually working as well. This particular one that I'm busy testing at the moment, I'm actually running it in Linux. If you look at my monitor here at the moment, you'll see on the stats bottom left over there, you'll see OBS obviously for my recording, and you'll see BeamNG running, and I think you'll also see Wine server running, but it's running under Wine on Linux, so not too bad. Frame rate's not terribly fast or anything, but it runs fairly well. So we'll probably see, I'm not sure with OBS running at the same time, it might be affecting the frame rate slightly or the speed, but yeah, let's have a look at it. So this is the main game screen anyway that you land on, and what I just want to show before we dive into options around the game itself is under repository over here there's lots and lots of mods that you can find on Steam in the workshop there with regards to vehicles, you know, and various other accessories. So you can see repository wise, this is just screen one. The colors are a little bit out here at the moment. I think I've got the dark theme on, but I think you'll get the idea. There's a tremendous amount of mods available for the game, you know, to mod it up and do all sorts of things. So again, very extendable, and that makes the game more fun as well for many to play, I think. So they've got automation. You can filter as well over here on mods if you want to, I think, on the right hand side. But otherwise, let's go. I've just got a couple of basics loaded, more scenes and so on. You plays, credits for the game, news, help, and so on. Let's run through options though before I actually show you the game. So there's a lot of things here that you can configure, starting obviously with the graphics. I'm on window at the moment. I should actually have been in full screen. Resolution, refresh rates, you can limit FPS frames per second there as well. You can enable hardware simulation for the user interface. I haven't got it on for user interface. Anti-aliasing, light rays, etc. And then you'll see also various quality settings which you can just default to, or you can pick them individually as well. I've got them all set to high, so it's going to impact a little bit. And you know, remembering that this is running under Wine at the moment as well. Then user interface, again, metric, imperial. There's a couple of other settings you've got. This is where you can set the themes for the menus and so on in the game. Languages is quite interesting. You'll see a tremendous amount of languages, and I did end up on Afrikaans, for example, by mistake at one stage, and yeah, it is actually Afrikaans, so no, it's working. Welsh, Georgian, Chinese, Hungarian, German, Italian, which is great. It appeals then to a wider audience as well. Audio settings, not too complicated there. Under controls, you've got the various bindings, so you can have a look here, say, for vehicles. And these are the standard bindings, or reasonably standard. I've got these gears set up for my gear stick at the moment so that I can do manual shifting. But you can see there's a lot of things you can set here. These are all the various options. Nitrous oxide. There was all-wheel drive here somewhere. Oh, there we go. Four-wheel drive status, diff lock mode. A lot of things that you can actually set here. And then there goes general settings. Gameplay setting itself, Shift R is quite important for resetting the vehicle physics. And tons more options here. A lot of this is accessible Also from inside the game, and I'll show you just now with that menu how you access that easy menu to get to a lot of them. A lot of camera options as well, camera views, menu navigation, you can shortcut as well, slow motion controls for playback. There's also an editor, so you can also edit tracks and create tracks and so on as well. Again, makes it a lot of fun. You can modify and play around with this thing a lot actually. So again, I think that's sort of part of the appeal really. And yeah, debug options. And on, oh, sorry, let me just go back. It does also pick up force feedback. So you'll see here, it has picked up under available hardware my Logitech G29 wheel, and that's on the Linux itself. So yes, you do get force feedback in the game as well. And you can also look at some of the performance stats while you're playing. Under gameplay itself, you can set things like realistic ABS, always off, or arcade ABS, gearbox behavior, realistic or arcade, clutch assist, throttle assist, various assists here you can switch on and off. Whether you're, for the various racing scenarios, whether the engines and the brakes and so on are preheated or they're going to start off cold. You can set AI traffic here as well. So I've got it set to auto at the moment, but you can limit it to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many you want to spawn in the game. And yeah, you can set their various. Then there's just more control over here over the camera again, field of view and so on as well, that you can adjust how it follows. You can also set up custom follow points. So you can set up how the camera is going to follow the vehicle. You know, for specific scenarios, you can get some very, very complex scenarios here if you want to for filming. And then under other, there's just various other controls that you've got here as well, and reporting back for the game itself. So yeah, that's basically the options menu under the before you start the game itself. So let's go back to main menu. That was options. So inside play, let's go and look at play. You've basically got campaigns that you can complete. These are some of the standard ones. I've actually completed the driver's training, but there's hustle and bustle, senseless destruction, rocky start, and campaigns that you have to complete. Then you've got various scenarios as well. So these are little challenges that you're given specific. It'll score you, and you've got to really or you can mark them off. So again, quite a lot to keep you sort of occupied with there, I'd say. And you'll see right at the bottom here, if you get to the bottom of those challenges, you can also download even more again from the Steam workshop. So yeah, it's basically endless really. Let's go back. I'll look at free roam just now. You've also got time trials. You've got bus routes as well. So again, scenarios for bus routes that you can follow. The previews are missing here. It may be that I haven't loaded everything actually. Light runner, which is through a city. In this case, Japan, I see. Because your track builder, and then careers are still coming. Remember, this game is actually in alpha release at the moment, so although it's a couple of years old, it's 5 years old. It dates back to 2015, but it's really been work in progress, should I say. So under free roam, these are various of the tracks and the areas that are available. If you look on the right, it'll give you some description. For example, this one is a testing facility for automation vehicles. You've got a mountain protruding from the ocean here with a track. Derby, you've got driver experience center. You've got east coast of the USA here. You've got an endless highway for testing top speeds. Remember, you can also customize these vehicles so you can make them insane top speeds if you want to. You can even switch gravity off. There's literally everything you can play around with in this game. You've got Jungle Rock Island, Italy. You've got an industrial site. You've got a port, a showroom, a small island in the USA. off the coast of California. Utah is a mod that I'd loaded, so that's not, I don't think it was one of the standard games. And you've got West Coast USA as well, various locations in California, and of course once again you can download more, so it's pretty sort of endless. But let's have a look at Italy, mainly because it's actually a beautiful area really just to drive in, so I'm hoping just to show that off a little bit as well. So when you get into the scenario, you can also choose at what point where do you actually want to spawn. So I typically spawn here just above the city, and then I'll drive up on the mountain so you can have a view down, you know, sort of over the city and over the harbor and get a feel for it. And then we can also spawn at another area down by the sea as well. So let's have a look over there. You'll see that'll be the area. If you look over there, that's where we're going to be spawning. I'm just going to pause this quickly while it's busy loading, because it takes, you know, a good couple of minutes really to load. Okay, we can just see it loading there now, and you'll see there it says 756 kilometer markings and 143 kilometers of roads. That's the scenario. A lot of these scenarios are a good 50 plus, you know, 80 plus kilometers of roads to explore. So quite large areas. You can just drive around freely and roam. If your car has got off-road capabilities, you can go off-road. Well, you can also go off-road in an on-road car. You're just going to end up getting stuck or something happening. But you know, it's part of the fun, I think, with this whole game. Really, you can try out the realistic physics of the various types of cars. Right, so here we are now in Italy, and we can just take a quick view around. You can see the quality is quite good. Really beautiful. Got a little Italian car as well. So this is original area and original car. These aren't mods. And the quality is pretty good. You'll see there's no driver on the inside though. So if you look at the views on the inside, I'll just have a look. There we go. You can just about smell the interior of this car. I mean, look at the materials and everything. And you can also look at the quality in the rear view mirrors. Very good. You turn the steering wheel, it turns in real time, and I just started rolling back on the hill now as well because the park brake disengaged. So I'll keep the view at the back. You'll see also there on the bottom right, we've got some engine stats and performance there regarding speed, what gear you're in, rev counter, if the lights or the park brake are on, ABS is activated, indicators. You'll see the indicators. There we go. So all this stuff works. There's a lot of detail in these vehicles. And the engine stop button is here. So you can also interact with some things on the menu like that. And you can alternatively then, I'll take my mouse off there. You can press the hot button you've mapped and it'll start the engine or do whatever else you've done. And there's the clock. It means we must be off. So I'm going to take a drive just through the town quickly and up onto the pass, the mountain pass that's just above the town, just so you can get a feel of how the car drives and what the town looks like. Oops. Okay, now you've got to keep your foot on the brake, you see, to pull away. First gear. I'm using my manual gear stick to change, so you won't hear like automatic changes here. It's just the roads are very narrow. Just have a stop and have a quick look around here as well. I've left the Mango HUD stats on at the top right there, which I'm going to switch off now, just to show you I'm getting about 66 frames a second. I mean, the reality is stunning. You know, as I said, not only are the vehicle physics accurate, but places like this Italian town are also quite beautiful. Okay, first gear. And those cobblestones I can feel through the racing wheel as well, with the force feedback. You can actually feel the vibrations. Let's see what sort of view we get from up here. Oh, there we go. It's got a photo mode as well, which I'll show just now, and it's actually very nice for these types of scenes to take a sort of photograph where you can adjust the field of view and gamma and a couple of other basics. With the vehicles like this, and you know, even some of the rock crawling and so on, it's absolutely stunning. Even these roads. So we've got about 143 kilometers of roads we can drive through, including dirt tracks and through farms and everywhere. Okay, just to give you an idea of what some of the damage physics look like, you can see I've hit that wall over there, and if you can see, there's a dent on the fender at the moment. So there you can see the damage. Depending on how hard you hit things, lights are going to break, mirrors will fall off, even doors or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's it, and that's the Italian town. I'm going to quickly just respawn back in the village and drive just down to the sea quickly, and then I can show you one or two things down there. So we just press Shift R and basically we respawn where we started. Okay, reverse. Whoops. Okay, I was in the wrong gear, clearly. I wasn't in first. How do we do this? Man, it's nice having a little car. I can see why you want to drive a little car in Italy. Oh, and you can also do emergency braking, I think. Okay, there's a good example of what happens if you hit the mountain. There is damage. Now, depending on the damage, you can carry on driving. I mean, if your wheel is loose or whatever, it's just going to affect your driving. So it depends. Let me just come around. Oh. clearly this car is not going to make it over. If you look on the bottom left now, you will also see the damage indicator. This car is not really going to go. But on the bottom left, what I'm pointing at, you can see the damage here on the chassis part and on the front fenders. And I've also damaged the engine now and the radiator here when I banged into this wall. So yeah, that's the type of problems you're going to pick up if you go off-road. This isn't just a toy game, I suppose. And I've cracked the windscreen as well. So yeah, let me get another vehicle, I think. So maybe this is a good time to actually also just show you some of the menus. We'll leave the car going at the moment. So if you press the escape button, you get these quick access menus in the middle here. Now, a lot of these are going to be bound or binded through hotkeys already, but if you haven't got them, you could hit escape. You could click over here, for example, for electrics, and you could switch on the lights, high beam, low beam, no lights. You could switch on hazard lights over there, for example. You can see the hazards are going, or indicators, or whatever the case is. Or you've got managing of the vehicle. You could clone the vehicle. You could go back to home where I'd started or respawned, and you can select a new spawn point. Maybe we could decide we want to spawn here. In fact, I'll show you now when we choose a new vehicle. Then you've got the powertrain. You can adjust gearbox from automatic or semi-automatic or manual and engine. On the AI, you could generate AI traffic for two-way traffic or for police, which you could then chase, or you could run away, or whatever the case. A lot of scenarios you can play as well straight from within here. And then the other thing that's interesting, there's some fun stuff here. Click on fun. You've got the option to break all the hinges, tires, yes, explode, boom, and break all the components in the vehicle. So say, for example, fire. There, your vehicle's on fire. If you hit escape again, you could go back to fun and you could extinguish it. Or you could take the option of, say, for example, where was brake? There we go. Watch this. There's literally all the components and the parts, and the car just falls apart in pieces. And obviously you can see on the bottom left again, your damage is there. So that's the quick menu in the middle. And then you'll also notice on the left hand side here, you've got full menus as well. This is still inside the game. You could click on performance and you could see here the performance of your graphics card, your memory usage, or CPU usage as well for the game. So it's another useful thing just to keep an eye on if you're having some problems with performance and so on. Then we've got the option menus that I already showed before. That was on the outside of the game, but you've got the full options on the inside as well. You can customize the UI. So this is, you can just move these things around, resize them, add apps or whatever else. So these are the display ones, like I showed, damage on the bottom left and the engine stats here on the right and so on. But you can customize that as well. Then we've got the photo mode I mentioned just now. So photo mode, you're going to use your ADWS keys to move it around. And the mouse you can use to change the angle. And I think it's page up and down, yes, for height. Here we go. And when you've got a photo that you want to take, you can also set a few other settings here, like field of view, camera speed, roll, and you can show the grid just to position it nicely if you want to. You can take the photo top right and send it to Steam, or you can just take it as a photo. So that's the sort of the photo mode. And you can get some stunning scenery and views and cars and so on to take photos of. So it's worth having a look at. There's your replays on the left. You've saved any replays. You've got the track builder, which you can access over here as well. And then the environment, you can change a couple of settings like time of day, wind speed, cloud cover, fog. You can change the gravity. I'm not sure what sun does. Sun probably sucks everything in. I don't know, because the sun is heavy. But negative Earth, Neptune, Mars. You've got time, real time or double or quadruple time that you can set. And yeah, that's basically it. You can manually adjust the gravity there as well. Then you've got vehicle customization. So this will be for the vehicle you've got active at the moment. You could change the type of license plate, paint design, and body. And the body's in a lot of detail, so you can get a feel for all the parts you've got. I mean, literally, like on driver's seat, you could take out if you wanted to, or you could make it a racing seat. Then you've got signal lights. You can change colors, front bumper, on off license plate, and so on, and doors and so on. So there's quite a lot of settings and things you can play with on the vehicle. Depending on the vehicle, you'll have tuning as well that you can do. So you can tune for the brake force, the force feedback on your wheel, fuel volume in the tank. Then you've got wheel alignment as well for front and rear that you can set, as well as tire pressures and track offset. You've got color of the vehicle, and you can really go to town on the color as well. And obviously you could save that and then reuse that in other games. So the next one on the menu here is actually the vehicles, just to give you an idea, because I want to switch vehicles. And if I've saved this as a spawn point, we should be able to spawn it right here. So I could take something like, let me just go there, sorry, vehicles. So this is some of the standard vehicles. I think I've only got one or two on here that are modded vehicles at the moment. Got some really nice vehicles. Yes, you can drive a soccer ball around apparently as well. And some other interesting things, wrecking sleds and pianos. If you've ever felt like driving a piano, this is your opportunity. So you can also filter on the vehicles by type of drivetrain, all-wheel drive, front wheel, rear wheel, four-wheel drive, or other type of vehicle, transmission, country, brand, and there's also propulsion, combustion engine or electric, and fuel types as well, gasoline, battery or diesel, as well as induction types. So you can filter. Remember now, as you're adding more and more and more mods, this is where this list is going to get bigger and bigger. So the filters will then start making a lot of sense. So maybe to get out of here, I could choose, no, I'm going to be doing this one just now on the Utah scene. So let's maybe just take something big enough probably to get through the wall, I suppose. So this view now, you'll see for the vehicle type you've chosen, you can choose different configurations of it as well. So yeah, lots of interesting views. And then of course, again, you can check performance to see what the vehicle does. It's diesel, 175 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast for a truck. And you can change the color as well. So you'll say then you could either spawn a new one, which would generate another vehicle next to this one, or you could replace the current one. So maybe let's just spawn a new one actually. And give it a second or so. Right, there we go. Now the challenge is to get down to the beach. So let's take off pause. Ah, luckily our truck is already over the wall. I suppose that helps a little bit. I'm actually in the wrong vehicle. That's part of the problem. Okay. Look at the inside of the truck quickly. Truck is a bit more basic, but same, you've got the mirrors and so on. Obviously, if you've got Oculus Rift or something, you'd be able to look left and right as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to go here. No, this is not helping us at all. Right, okay, we've reset that car rather because everything was spawning in the wall, which really wasn't helping matters much. So let's see if we can just take this down to the sea then. You can get a nice view here as we're going down as well. You can see what this little village looks like. I don't think we're supposed to probably take this truck through such small streets. And there's a problem. Now we're stuck again. Yeah, so it looks like we're having the same problem actually. If I spawn another vehicle in the same sort of situation, it ends up in the same stuck situation. So I'm not actually getting much further forward here. There you can see the problem. The rear wheels are actually off the pavement and there's no traction. So I've almost got to try and get another truck. I'll show you what you can do. Let's see, spawn, clone the current vehicle. There we go. I think that one's a bit further forward. Yep. Now if I wanted to, I could go and rescue the other one. So that's basically that's some of the Italian scene. Like I said, there's another 120 kilometers of road really to drive. So maybe what we can do is we can just jump to the Utah scene quickly and then go and see a little bit what that looks like in an off-road vehicle. Go free roam. So I'm going to go down to Utah, USA. And again, you can spawn, you can decide where you want to spawn, by the highway or wherever. Let's go to the campsite, I think, and spawn. Not sure what vehicle I'm going to be arriving in. But what I will do is I'll try and pick one of the 4x4 vehicles so we can just grind through the bush a little bit. So this particular map, you'll see 37.4 kilometers of roads, but the fun really lies in the bush, so I don't think we're going to use much of the roads. I think I mentioned before, you can take any vehicle basically and take it out into the bush, but it's not going to, like this one, for example, you're going to find it's not going to grip very well, which we can try. Let's go and see if we can get it stuck somewhere, and then I'll show you, how it works with like a 4x4. And you've really got to watch out for rocks, because rocks do serious damage. I mean, they really dent. Well, okay, I think we probably are already stuck. No, we're not. This is a little front wheel drive. Oh, I think we're going to be going right, and I think there's a good view of what happens when it is damaged. So I think let's just pick a 4x4 rather. Vehicles, something with a little bit more grip, I think. Okay, again, you can choose colors and the various things you're going to see. Well, I don't know about 232 kilometers an hour. This is probably a modded vehicle, actually. I think it is a modded vehicle. So there's no ways you're going to be able to control this thing at that speed. And there we are. It looks like a sort of a modded Willis Jeep, actually. There we go. It's fairly basic on the inside. So let's see where we can go in this. You should be able to go through the water if it's not too deep. And the other thing you got to watch out with this vehicle, and it's already happened, I can feel it on the steering now. I've actually gone and bent the wheel, which means that this vehicle's, to all intents and purposes, fairly useless at the moment. If I take it out now, we'll be stuck as well. There we go. Let's try the water again. I can see if we can climb. Oh, not actually having a lot of luck here. It's not so easy. And while you're driving over this type of terrain, you can actually feel all the bumps and the stuff on the force feedback, actually, on the wheel. The only problem is that, like I said, with this vehicle, its wheels are a little bit sensitive. So, I mean, if it hits things skew, it actually knocks out its suspension fairly easily. So one has to be careful with that. I mean, it does climb. It climbs actually very nicely. Like we'll see here, for example, I think we can just about, it's quite vertical actually, but you'll see it's got very, very good grip. I don't know if I'll be able to quite get up here. Let's go into first gear. It's a bit too steep, I think, up there. But there are entire videos just dedicated to taking vehicles like this and literally rock climbing It's not going to quite get enough purchase here, I don't think. No. Oh dear. Well, there I go again. So let's just reset and try again. We can try going through the water here. But like I said, you've got to watch out for rocks with this thing because its suspension is probably the weaker part of it. If it falls, it often breaks suspension. But you can see now how it climbs. If I just go into first gear. In all-wheel drive, it can really climb. This might be a bit too steep though. Steering is quite difficult here. Yeah, maybe this was a bit too steep. If it rolls in something soft, this one's fairly okay, but I mean, let it hit a rock, then you're basically done for. But it's a lot of fun because I mean you can do a lot of rock crawling really with this vehicle. And you'll see its all-wheel drive really grips. And just to get an idea of its suspension, again, the trick with these vehicles is just to go slowly actually and not too fast, because too fast you're going to break something basically. So if you're driving through here, just watch out, like I said, for rocks, because if you hit a rock face on, you're going to break something. Like that. So the Utah area, also lots and lots of places basically to discover. You can drive around here. Like I said, there's about 140 plus kilometers of roads, and it's basically through all this country. You can wind around on the rock ledges, climbing ledges, up mountains, through through the river, all sorts of things. So quite a lot of fun actually. Oh, I think I just pushed the reset button by mistake, but anyway, that means I've ended up with a vehicle without the damage to it. So yeah, I can probably take a picture of this. Yeah, okay, so like I said, with BeamNG, this thing, like, you could go on and on and on and on. There's scenarios where you're actually racing drag cars, you're drifting, Formula One, I think, as well. So there's racing, there's off-road, there's some stunning scenery. And like I said, with the mods, it's all fully extendable. So it can extend, and yeah, the game just sort of goes on and on and on. And I think that's the great thing with it being open. More people can actually create extra content for it. And yeah, so you never really get tired of it. I suppose you can actually, the game isn't really finite, should I say. So yeah, a lot of fun. I think I've sort of shown everything then that I wanted to really show. There is help as well about updating and installing mods, frequently asked questions and that sort of thing, steering wheel setups as well, and the official blog. So yeah, that's from the question mark on the menu over here. And yeah, we've basically covered most of the others. So I think that's it for this video really. It was just meant to be a quick overview, just give you a taste of what the game really could do, and to show you some of the stunning scenery that there is actually in the game. So if you do play it, enjoy it. And I'm looking at another driving sim next, which will probably be one of the off-road, pure off-road scenarios. And I'll be back in that one. So stay safe until then, and see you in the next video.